Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is 5525. Hello, and welcome to yet another cast request. In today's game comes from us from a Mr. Le7els, I believe his name is. Le7els, who you can see over on that Radiant side. My apologies. Already picking up that Rubik, I believe. So, getting right. I mean, so far we've got the Pudge and the Ancient Enemy Team and ES. Now, I believe this is 6.79. Well, actually, I do know that we do see Ag, so it is indeed 6.79. The first game I've casted that is 6.79, so I have to see how the changes impact the game. I mean, I've only played, I think, 3 or 4 games in the new version myself. It's still trying to wrap my head around it myself. But it does look like, I mean, so far, I mean, it is a PvP game. It looks like relatively same. I know Lich has really exploded in competitive. It doesn't look like anybody wants to pick him up at this point. Now, with the Quap, with the ES, with the Rubik, you certainly do have a lot of teamfight potential. And you've also got some pretty good picking power with that Bounty Hunter and Nyx. Ursa, especially early on, might be prone to getting hunted in that jungle if it goes to Rosh, getting picked up by that Nyx assassin and that bounty hunter. Plus, when you're in fights, you're roaming around. Sorry, when you're in fights, when you're absolutely demolishing the enemy, like an ES Rubik Quap certainly allows you to do. Track Gold is an absolutely massive fact. It does look like we're going to be seeing Pudge mid. Pudge, of course, can now build Blink Dagger. I'm not really sure if Blink is that useful on him now, or if it's still just kind of a forced stuff, because I mean you can certainly cliff hook, but the amount of times you're actually going to be able to abuse that, especially when you consider at the moment that his team has no real range stuns. You've got Slaughter, and that's and Slaughter is going to struggle to hit people on that cliff to keep them up there. And outside of that, that blink into ulti, it's nice, but it's not fantastic, because the fact of the matter is that if you're trying to pull that off, you're jumping straight into the middle of an enemy team. It's a channeling skill, and it's probably going to get disrupted. And so I think there are just better heroes to be getting Blink on. I'm still waiting on that last pick. While we're waiting on that, just run over that Radiant side. Or just going to be playing that Queen of Pain mid. Le7els going to be playing a Rubik bot lane. Looks like we're seeing a trial in here actually. Dolly on that Earthshaker and Lego on the Bounty Hunter. And that'll leave Nyx to be going into that off lane. Meanwhile, over on the Dire side, we're going to see Lucky Man, actually on that carry Slaughter. Cindy in that jungle. Maycry playing that Pudge mid. And we have just had the Lena pick, going to be played by Manudo Chimama. She's going to be bot, and she's going to be helping out Mr. Warner, who's going to be on that Ursa. My apologies. It is a little bit odd to be seeing a Bounty Hunter as a carry. I've seen another game where he was run as such, and the problem is his damage doesn't scale very. Like an Earthshaker actually looks like he's going for a Fisher here. We don't have the, and the Fisher does land, so Warner gets lifted up, thrown back down. Lego going in for the right place. He could use Invis to boost his damage, but because he hasn't done that, I think Mr. Warner will be able to get away. Indeed, Invis used now, so a little bit of a misplay by that Bounty Hunter, I feel. If he'd opened with Shadow Wall, you could potentially have used it again in that last fight. The Cab, of course, forced the Ursa back. Meanwhile, mid, Pudge in a lot of trouble, very low. Might even drop. Indeed, one right click and that Shadow Strike damage enough to finish her. Good play getting away with decent HP. First blood. I mean, that is the problem with Pudge. He's not particularly fantastic in controlling the lane, especially against good players who can zone. And especially when you're on a hero like Queen of Pain, she can really, really punish that Pudge early on. He doesn't really have an answer to her. And so Pudge really relies on those hooks, but during those early levels, you're not hooking anyway, simply because the range is far too short, and against the Queen of Pain, you're going to struggle as well, simply because she can position herself so well. So has healed up. Apologies once again. But as I was saying before, Bounty Hunter as a carry is not the most fantastic of heroes, because pretty much all of his damage is tied to Janata, and he certainly can get a decent burst out of Lego. Actually dropping very low, so Ursa goes in and Ursa's going to lift it up, throw him back, and they don't have sentries, so they weren't able to finish him up. But one more combo like that will be enough to clean him up. Again, yeah, the damage is tied to Janata, but the problem with that is a skill on a cooldown. Now, that's certainly fine as a nuke if you look at Janata like a physical damage nuke. then it's certainly quite good in that regard. I mean, it scales well. But the thing is, later in the game, it's your one steroid. It's a single target nuke. And outside of that, it's on a 6-second cooldown, so you're dealing one big burst of damage every 6 seconds. Meanwhile, Ursa is going to be just dealing constant damage. And so for that reason, if you're running Bounty Hunter carry, you really need to be looking to pressure the enemy early on. And certainly with that team fight, it's probably going to be seeing a lot of mid-game dominance coming out from the Radiant side. And in that top lane, which we haven't mentioned yet, this is Nyx against Slaughter. Looking at last hit, Slaughter actually trailing, unfortunately, and he does have the last hit advantage, in fact. And Lucky Man actually going to stun herself, throws out his stun in return, so not 100% sure. Well, that just seems like a pretty big misplay for him. Now, with the double damage going in on Maycrash, he has thrown out the Shadow Strike. He's going to be slow. One more hit will do it. Blink. She is able to get. He's actually able to deny himself, and she might just drop to the tower. She does need to use the bottle. I think bottle probably would have saved her there. Either way, a nice turnaround by Pudge. It gets him some nice gold, and also means that, well, Queen of Pain's not going to be pressuring the other lanes quite as soon as perhaps she might have liked. Going to set her back in terms of gold. Indeed, she hasn't picked up her boots yet. And it looks like Nyx is basically getting free reign in this lane. He is slightly better at pressuring. He hasn't actually got to take mana burn though. But he is better at pressuring than Slaughter. Slaughter also one of those mid-game heroes, and that might indeed be a problem for Dire in that they've got the Ursa, and they've got my apologies once again, and they've got the Slaughter. Both who are decent mid-game heroes. Ursa scales relatively well, but the problem is you don't have that big AoE presence a hero like Gyrocopter or Luna would afford you. Calling out miss. No, I don't believe it does look like Ursa actually wants to be going for a kill here. Not going to be able to find one on Manuda. Don't. Mr. Warner actually looking like he wants to go in. Going to back off. I think realizing that Luna's not having anything to do with that. Still haven't got that level 6 on the clock. She was expecting that hook, I believe.
Middle is missing.
Apologies once again for my rabies. Do we have 6 on Nyx? We do indeed. And now with that 6, Nyx is going to be looking to... I mean, I'm not sure if he can actually kill Slaughter. Slaughter's HP probably a little bit too much at the moment. And certainly, Nyx will have to be going back to get his mana before he tries to go for a kill. But he can quite easily roam in on that Ursa. We don't have any detection up in the area. And when you consider how much killing power you've got there, he might even want to be looking to roam mid, help that Queen of Pain. Queen of Pain also with that 6. So you've got 2 heroes now who probably will be looking to be roaming for that kill. Bounty Hunter actually quite low though. He's forced back under the tower. He has picked up the Ring of Hell. So actually going for the Battle Fury build, which is on a carry Bounty Hunter I can sort of understand, because as I said, Janado is a single target. Battle Fury does get you a little bit more AoE presence. But generally you do see that Bounty Hunter, he's played in the alpha lane role, often goes for utility spotting arms. Out comes a nice Fisher on Mr. Warner. Gonna trap him in. Lift comes out, it's gonna throw him back down. Warner now going toe to toe with Dolly. And Dolly might actually drop. Indeed he does. Warner now quite low. Pops the sail, trying to buy some time. Right click from Rubik. Finishes the job. Now Matado on the run. Will he be able to get away? And this problem, Bounty Hunter was a little bit too far away. And the issue was that they used their lockdown to be able to set up a kill on Ursa quite nicely, but the problem is that once all that lockdown was used, he turned around and just wailed right into the Earthshaker. Meanwhile, Queen of Pain, I believe, picked up a kill on Pudge. Indeed, ulti was used, and Pudge hasn't taken a point in Flesh yet, so all of her skills are still dealing absolutely max damage. Now Pudge going for the ward. That was in fact inside tower range, I believe. Now, Nyx has gone back to heal, said he does have his ulti, so he really will probably be looking to pick something up. I mean, he could potentially go on the Enchantress, as most people would know, one of the squishiest heroes in the game. Certainly, she's not going to like a Nyx diving in on her. Speaking of Nyx, he has spotted out the courier. Actually, it looks like he is going to turn around and go for it. And indeed picks it up. It's going to be a nice gold advantage. I think Slaughter lose that deliver his boots. Now Nyx going in on Slaughter as well. Should be able to get away indeed. Without that, Vendetta just doesn't have quite enough damage. Pudge now looks like he's roaming top. Might just go for... No, he is indeed
Middle is
roaming into that
missing.
top lane. Coming straight up the river. There's no detection there at the moment, so they don't have any idea what's going on. Creeps, I believe, will also take a little too long. And we might actually see a hook going to fly, going to miss, and that's going to let Nyx know what's going on. Should be able to back up without too much difficulty. About 20 seconds now away from that ultimate. And again, from here, I think it's going to be looking at that Queen of Pain. Just picked herself up another talisman. And with that haste room, with 10 seconds away from that ultimate, she probably will be looking to another hook coming out. Going to land on the creeps. I'm not sure if that was intended. Probably not, I have to say.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Queen of Pain does indeed look like she wants to roam top. Ulti has been hot. May Cry in a lot of trouble. Out comes the vendetta. Out comes the stun, and they should be able to get it indeed. Queen of Pain picking up that kill. Because the thing is, it means you're using these skills on Pudge, but at the same time, Slaughter hasn't actually felt the might of the Queen of Pain or that Nyx in terms of a gank yet. Apologies once again, although he is still certainly feeling very starved in terms of last hits. Down at 9, as is Ursa. Bounty Hunter farming very well indeed, up at 30. And so even though he is, I'd say, of the three heroes, probably the weakest carry, I think even Alina can sometimes semi-carry better than him, depending on how the game goes. But while he is certainly going to be weaker with equivalent farm, he's doing a lot better, and that'll just continue as he starts to get track kills. Now with that ulti up on Queen of Pain, I don't have it up yet on ES or on Rubik. Mr. Water now going in, we haven't had the Fisher used. And now Nyx going in on Cinder, has popped all of his mana though, so Cinder should be able to get away indeed. Lucky Man coming in as well. And Nyx will have to back off. He does have the ulti up. He's got certainly enough gold for a TP. Although he does opt to pick up the Staff of Wizardry. With the ulti up, I'd like to see a TP bot go for a kill. May Cry actually going to get caught out by Orc. Throws out the hook, going to miss. And now goes for the ulti. Disrupted by Fisher. And going to drop. I believe Queen of Pain might have actually used Blink to dodge that. I didn't quite... Simply because it did seem a little bit odd that Pudge missed the hook that heavily. But at any rate, Queen of Pain did use her ulti there, so Mr. Warren won't be having quite a ton of time. Of course, you do have that massive rank initiation from Earthshaker in about 10 mana. And then they might well be looking to go in. Cinder is tracked up. Probably going to be looking for another track. And Shadow Strike is used, but just to harass at this point. Nyx has rotated back top. I don't really like it at this point because he's not a hero who particularly needs time. You might be looking to get his Dagon up about 1,000 away from that, but I would prefer now Ruby picking up a kill on the Enchantress bot lane. Mr. Warner very low, getting thrown up in the air, getting tossed, and will go down to a Queen of Pain right click. I believe that's 2 track kills. So you look at gold, absolutely. So out comes a hook. Now, Queen of Pain is able to blink away though before the ulti comes out from Pudge. Pudge going to get stunned as well. There's a lot of trouble actually, and going to drop ulti from Luna. Not quite enough to finish Bounty Hunter, but a Dragon Slave sure is. That gets her the kill. I keep calling her Luna, so apologies for that. As I started to say before, Pudge got that hook in. I mean, with the track god, you look at gold advantage now up 5k their favour. XP 3k after those kills. That is well and truly Raids game at this point, I think. Now, as I said, later in the game, they may start to fall off if we get BKBs up on Ursa, up on Slaughter. You can start to weather a lot of what Earthshaker does, a lot of what Queen of Pain does. And certainly you can out-carry what Bounty Hunter does. But the issue is whether they're going to be able to get to that point. Again, though, I would like that Nyx to be roaming in. He's using a lot of mana in this lane, but I would like to see him getting kills. At the moment, he's 0-1-1. He did pick up the Courier, which was a nice play by him. But outside of that, now Cinder going in on Queen of Pain. Queen of Pain going to blink in some trees. Go for the Scream. Cinder actually dropping quite low and will drop. Not quite able to finish up Queen of Pain. Now Lucky Man throwing out the ulti on Lego, trying to get away. Uses the stun, going to miss absolutely everything though. And that with that should be able to get away. Stun now coming out from Luna. In fact, Lucky Man does have the stun up, going to land on levels. Goes for the ulti on him. Now Rubik, he has lift. not going to be needed though. And now Tamar, very, very low, going to throw out the stun trap by some time for herself. I mean, they do have detection on him, and they don't have, he doesn't have shuriken toss, so he's going to struggle to get into range here. Actually diving quite hard, the TP comes out. Lucky Man doesn't have the mana for stun, and possibly with wand might have actually, indeed, popping the wand would potentially allow him to finish up that bounty. And then Maycry going in, goes out the hook, very big miss. As in jumps Queen of Pain, ulti on 3, Ursa is there, and she's going to get stunned, she's going to go down. First death of the game for her, second death of the game for her. And not actually able to pick up a kill, I don't believe, with that ulti. It was a fantastic ulti, but the rest of the team wasn't there, they just did not have the follow-up. Now Rubik has picked up his 6, as has Ursa. So they're probably going to be looking to defend this T3. Indeed, TP now coming out from that. Urshaka goes for the stun on Cinder. Cinder will be able to get away though. Another TP coming out. That's actually from the dire side, Lena. There, and it looks like everybody is now congregating on that mid. Lucky Man, the only hero on his team, not there. And now Dolly going in quite deep. In fact, might actually get caught out. Goes for the stun. Does stop the Ursa, but that's not enough to stop the enchants from finishing him up. Now Noob Total in Sunshine going to get ulti. And why Lego caught out as well. We don't have the style there, so he will be able to go invisible and get away, I believe. Don't have protection, and Pudge's hook nowhere near Bounty Hunter. I think just a blind hook, and unfortunately didn't pay off for him. Now Queen of Pain jumps in once again, and here she might be able to get a kill. Throws out the Shadow Strike on Pudge. They're going toe to toe with Cinder. Shadow Strike will be enough, I believe. Now Lena picking up a kill on that Bounty Hunter. Apologies for missing that. Now picking up the Enchantress. And no, Pudge will manage to get away with thanks to that Tango, I believe. Apologies once again. So, I mean, the game looked overwhelmingly in Radiant's favor, but these last few fights have just, I mean, especially that Earthshaker, he just seemed to be way too far out of position. He wanted to certainly pick up the Ursa, but in doing so, he managed to get himself caught out and just destroyed. Queen of Pain has that. I mean, she's come in twice, and she had a very good ulti as I said before, but the problem is she's going in, she's seeing opportunities for herself to potentially deal damage, but the issue is her team can't quite follow up. Now Fish is going to come out from her, she can allow him to get away. Little Lena looks like when she go in, and she's going to pay for that with her life. That's throughout the ulti, but nowhere near enough, and that's a killing spree ended for that Lena. Now, Queen of Pain looks like she's hunting around. She does have the ulti up at this point. It's got 2 points in it as well. Stun going to come out on Cinder, who's very much dead. Ulti from Urshika. Hook going to land on Dolly. He's going down. Mr. Worms email dropping. Stun from Lucky Man going to catch Noob Total, who might be in some trouble. But with the haste wind, will be able to get away. The ulti was used on Queen Ren, and she's not going to have it at this point. She's going to blink away. Stun now coming out, and Maycry very low. Noob Total doing what he can. We do have that scream up on Quad, and that's going to be enough to finish up the stun. And now Pudge trying to get away, and it looks like he will succeed in that, hiding behind that T2. But another, I mean, and you can see it in gold. That was the first good fight in a little while we've seen for Radiant, and swinging back up above 5k, almost 7.5k gold in their favor now. Similar story XP, I believe. Similar, yeah, about 4,000 in terms of XP. Well, that has swung up much more sharply after that last fight. My apologies. And so with that, I mean, you had quite a few ultis used there. Rubik has got his hands on Dismember at this point. It's not the absolute biggest skill, at least for a Rubik, because he doesn't have that great setup skill that is Hook. But once they get Earthshaker's ulti back up, they have Nyx's up, and they might want to hunt for a kill, and certainly that's what Nyx looks like he's wanting to do. Track on Cinder, although she is not actually under the tower, so she will get caught, although that massively delayed attack, thanks to Untouchable Lift coming out onto Mamo. Now in comes the Slaughter, levels very low, and Pudgebill picking up a kill on the Earthshaker. Noob Total actually going to drop to the Lena, and now Lego going in, going to back off, and the Dragon Saber will miss. Didn't actually catch where Earthshaker went down, was near that bot lane, sorry, near that bot rune, I should say. And with that, with 2 down, it does look like Dire want to push in. Ursa still about 100 away from Black, so quite a delay, lads. It is 17 minutes in, although he has been going for the face moves. He has been offlane. Thinking about going in about 5 seconds away from that ulti. Earthshake about 15 seconds away from his. Let's get an eye on Rubik. Rubik did actually manage to get away, I believe, with that dismember. Indeed, we saw him do so. But, I mean, there isn't now Queen of Pain actually going in on Pudge. Blink is going to allow him to dodge his ulti. Make right now quite low, but will drop here is denied though by Enchantress. Enchantress may have actually been able to heal him through that with Nature's Attendance. Looks like Noob Total wants to go in though. But there isn't a really massive skill for Rubik to get his hands on. I think he'd probably at this point, well, he'd like to be getting that hook, I think. But then you have got the stuns of Slaughter and Lena, which are both handy skills to have just in terms of evening out your kit. But nothing like that black hole, nothing absolutely massive that if Rubik steals will completely change a fight. Instead he can just offer general utility with the skills he steals. Does look like Radiant want to be pushing in here. They're certainly all grouping up about a second away from Queen of Pain respawning. She can TP in. She has her ulti. You've got one up on ES. ES actually dropping quite low, going to get caught out and going to go down. Now Leo's getting his hands on and Chance who will have that slow. I think at this point he will be preferring to get that light strike away from Lena. Speaking of Lena, that was just an invis rune. He does have Vendetta still to finish her up, and not going to use it. I think wanting to try and get away. Nice! Spike is going to nab him that kill though. Now Levels and Sunshine are going to lift Pudge up, going to jump anyway, thanks to... Apologies, while Lego's still hunting around. So 2-for-1 trade, and you did have the ult to use on next. Now Queen of Pain jumping in, will be in trouble as she gets hooked and going to go down. At this point, like Radiant are just kind of going in one by one. I do think they need to sort of group up because they have the far stronger team fight power. Fish are going to come out, and that will allow Noob Total to get away. Although Lucky Man looks like he wants to go in, throws out the stun, going to catch Dolly. Although now he has no mana to speak of. Hook does come out, going to miss and stun Lucky Man. In jumps the Earthshaker, going to ulti, but not able to get a kill with that. If he managed to get Fish up, he would have succeeded. Bound down the picks up one, then dropping himself and Nyx. That was, I mean, in terms of damage, that was a beautiful ulti by Earthshaker. The problem is he didn't quite have enough to finish him off. He wasn't quite able to get that fish off, and as a result, he ended up getting surrounded by 5 and just eaten alive. Still now coming out on from the Rubik, gets his hands on Light Strike away. That's probably the skill he's most going to want at this point, because he, unlike Lena, I should say, he has a nice setup in terms of telekinesis. He can lift somebody up and throw them into a Light Strike array. Plus it gives him a decent lockdown if the enemy does try to come in. And the other upside is that, I mean, the only other stun the enemy team really has to steal is Slarders. The problem is if Rubik gets his hands on Slarders, he actually has to be playing quite aggressively. Now we do have that Battle Fury picked up on that on that Bounty Hunter. Apologies. Which is, I mean, about 20 minutes in, so a little bit delayed compared to that anti-mage free farm. And as I said before, I'm not a massive fan of that Battle Fury on Bounty Hunter, simply because he doesn't have sustained damage. It does allow him to get the AoE power out of Janata, as I said before, but that's basically it. And so I do prefer items like the Desert, items like the Medallion, which really benefit his team's damage more instead of putting all that farm into him. Now he has spotted out Ursa. Ursa is heading into that rush as well, and Radiant know it. Orc gonna jump in. They don't have the they do have the track use. My apologies. Orc actually very low. Will be able to get away as Bounty Hunter picks up the kill. Now Slaughter coming in, looking for a good, gonna find Noob Total. Not 100% sure what that was about. He seemed to kind of freeze there, perhaps lag. He does get the ulti up, but that's about it. Meanwhile, Rubik dropping to the Pudge. Bounty Hunter will actually DC. Not 100% sure. While now with the Ursa, now that they have Vlads, I think they do want to be getting wards up in that area though. He may smoke in, however, but I think you really... Apologies once again, pause coming out conveniently to cover my coughing fit. But now that you know he's going to be rushing, you don't want to pressure him as much as possible, because that is a mistake well, it is one issue for Ursa because you know that he's got a Rosh. That's what Ursa does, especially in Papa games. He's the hero who can take Rosh very early on. But the thing is, he often does it solo, and so if you can keep pounding him to the ground, you can potentially get 2 or 3 kills off the hero, simply because he will continue to look for that Roshan generally to supplement his farm. He's about 1,000 gold now away from that Blink Dagger, which I'm not sure if that's what he's going to be going for. You often see the Shadow Blade preferred on Ursa as well, or he might be going for the Basher. Certainly with the team that the enemy has, especially with some players like the Rubik, who are quite squishy, Earthshaker in particular can't really respond well to getting jumped on. Even who are like the Queen of Pain, she doesn't have a lot of HP on the moment, so if Ursa dives her with that blink, she will go down very sharply indeed. So I think the blink could be a good choice. Does look like he's going for the Blade Mail in fact, trying to get some defense going on. And that will certainly make a difference against that Earthshake against Queen of Pain. They'll pretty much blow themselves up if they're not careful. But at the same time, it means that once he's popped the Blade Mail, he doesn't really have anything that can really threaten the team. And that is why I'd perhaps prefer that Blink, because it means that he's not just a hero that you don't want to attack. Which is what Blade Mail is going to do for you. Now, the stun actually going to land on Lego thanks to that Sentry, and Ursa picks him up. Dragon Slave coming out from the Rubik, in fact. Please. Yeah, so the Blade Mail, it does mean that, I mean, at the very start of a fight, Queen of Pain's going to have to hold off on an ulti, as it Earthshaker, perhaps. But, at the same time, the Ursa actually might be in trouble. No, sorry, Noob Total, who's caught between 3. Out does come the Earth Shock for the ulti from Pudge, going to finish him off, I believe. Lina actually getting the kill with her right clicks. Hook and a flag from Pudge, not going to latch. So now 3 down for the Radiant side. Did not catch Queen of Pain going down, but it was the Salada. So now Radiant really starting to get picked up, and that's another reason why I would like to see that blink on Ursa, because when Dire come into fights against a scattered Radiant team, they're winning. We've basically been seeing that ever since that first bad engagement for Radiant in that bot lane. But when they come into a fight, Fish are actually going to come out not quite finishing up, since the heal will keep her alive in the face of that tower. But when Dire come into fights where they can pull apart Radiant, where they're fighting them one by one, Pudge already helps with that. Queen of Pain, we still got separated from her team. Nick got separated from his team. And so if you can continue to do that, then you're going to be winning. And that's what... And Blink Dagger really, really helps you in that regard. It allows you to quickly dive on someone who's out of position, kill them in an instant because you're an Ursa, and then be on your way. And then come into a fight with a 1-player advantage. Again, it does look like he's going for the Blade Mail, so which suggests perhaps that he is going to be looking, his team is going to be looking for more 5v5 fights, which won't really favour them. As long as Radiant are all there with their ultis, at this point, Dire is just going to crumple. Slaughter actually picking up the Vanguard. And double damage, and Nyx may well finish up. May try indeed a right click, cutting him down. It also looks like he wants to rush, but going to back off, I think, after Pudge gets picked off. Track now coming out, going to go on the Lina. In jumps, Orc throws out the Shadow Strike as well. She does have the ulti, and that might, and she does indeed use it. I was going to say it won't be enough, but right click from Nyx able to finish up. Anyway, the issue is it does mean she has used her ulti there. And on Alina as well, not the biggest of targets by any means. Alina does look like she's going for a Bloodstone, so more of that semi-carry build perhaps, although on Lina, if you are going for that carry build, I think damage items are better. Lina doesn't necessarily do badly with HP, but if you do want effective HP, generally, especially against Radiant team, a BKB would perhaps have worked out more nicely. And Sentry actually going to find the bounty, and in comes the Ursa, going to regret that decision very much as Nyx picks him up with a stun. The stun also landing another 2. Cinder goes down. Lucky Man trying to get away, throws out the stun to cover his escape. Maycry is there with a hook if need be. Maybe throw it. Juke says why Lego, and indeed Ursa really regretting going in there. Bringing up gold. It has, after these last few fights, been dipping back in Dire's favour, although I think picking up Ursa has, you can see it's starting to shift a little bit up towards Radiant XP. Massive swing down towards Dire, although again swinging up after those last few fights. Queen of Pain about 55 seconds away from royalty and about 500 away from the Sheep's. We've seen her hanging on to that Mystic Star for a while, though the ultimate orb is a little newer. Rubik hasn't really got much item progression whatsoever after that. Drums probably looking for that 4-star, that blink, or indeed that axe. Stun now coming out from Slide. He may actually be allowed, because I have seen him miss quite a few stuns like that, where it just seems to come out a little bit too late. Cinder gets stunned. In jumps Queen of Pain. She may well regret that though. Stun going to fly from Lina. Lina going in. But Noob Total will actually drop. In fact, in comes the Earthshaker with his blink. Deals a lot of damage, but it's not going to be enough. Ursa turns around, cleans him up. Pudge getting another kill. Bounty now the only survivor farming that bot lane. And colossally bad fight for that Radiant side. If they had Queen of Pain's ulti up there, it might well have swung the other way, because we did see Earthshaker deal quite a bit of damage. Not quite enough though, once again. And so with that Queen of Pain ulti over the top, you definitely would have picked up at least one, maybe two. Does look like Nyx. He has picked up a Roto Magi and also Dagon, so he is going for the Dagon stack, although I'm not sure what the robe is in favor of. Potentially the, like he might be building into that Orchid, try and deal with that, with Cinder, with, well, even potentially the Slater, who is going to be popping that stun out quite quickly. It does, of course, allow you to get a lot more damage out, simply because of the damage amplification. But Enchantress and Lina are probably going to be the two big ones you're going to be looking for, possibly the Pudge as well. I mean, he's hesitant about going for that Rosh now, because it's the second time he's gone in, been picked up. Sneak down at 5 deaths. So, to go in, he has actually picked up a gem for himself, though. And that will spell out why Lego in a lot of trouble, going to get caught by that stun. Ursa wailing away. Lina actually finishing him up with her ulti. Now going to spot out. Hook going to fly, going to land on Cinder. Not sure if that was intended by Maycry, or if he was aiming for the Nyx. Now we do see Enchantress going for the Agathim's about 800 gold away from that as well. That'll make her actually... well, we're not going to be seeing BKBs up on this team, so in that regard, Cinder will be fairly strong in terms of DPS. Speaking of, she does get lifted up. Will be able to get away though. And Armlet now getting picked up by the Slaughter. Almost a little too late, I feel. I mean, I don't like Vanguard in general as an item. It's a fairly inefficient item. Now with the buff, it's a little bit better. Certainly, Fisher does come out. With that buff, it is a little bit better in terms of the HP, and I think it can work on a Night Stalker, or indeed even a Slaughter if they are going for tower diving. They're going for that mid-game aggression, really pressure the enemy carry. But that's not what Lucky Man is doing in this game. His team is really more the team that's trying to get their carries farmed up, as opposed to the ones trying to pressure the enemy. And so for that reason, I mean, I'm fine with the armor because it is a very good damage item, but I think the Vanguard in this game is just a little bit wasted. If you want the HP, straight Armlet Rush would work better, and then maybe go into a BKB.
Invisibility.
And the Ursa could do well with a BKB as well. Going to run into 3. Slaughter going to get lifted up before we can get the stun up. And the stun comes in as well. Lucky Man very low. Ulti from Queen of Pain actually doesn't catch anything. And Lucky Man trying to get away through that Fisher. He has popped the armlet. Going to toggle. Not going to manage to get the toggle off, I don't believe. Orc now might be in some trouble. Ulti from Mendo is going to drop. Hook going to fly. Going to catch Bounty Hunter. Nyx goes in. And that's going to stun Enchantress. Enchantress should be able to back away though. So for... I believe that was a 2-for-1 trade. You have the Queen of Pain ulti used there. Now still coming out from the Rubik. Gets his hands on the hook. And this is, as a Rubik player, this is when you clap your hands together. Because Rubik, hook on Rubik is just colossal fun. Indeed we see here. We're probably just going to continue to see this for the next, I believe, 120 seconds. Now Orc in some trouble from the Enchantress. Should be able to get away thanks to that mischance, though. Maycry trying to get away, and now Enchantress, I think, regretting going in there because there's all of her mana gone. Noob total. Everybody just trying to DPS her down very, very slowly, but they manage it in the end. Now hook gonna fly from Pudge, not going to land. The Stunner Over does land on Dolly, but the hook does come in from Le7els, looking for Mendo. He does, Earthshaker does pop his ulti, and that allows Rubik to pick up the Lina. Now Earthshaker jumping in, he doesn't, out comes the hook from Rubik, going to land on Nyx though. And that is now the blink up on that Rubik. Going straight for that blink. I mean, there isn't a big skill for him to get his hands on. Quite often you'd see that Rubik getting blink when there's something like an Earthshaker, something like a Tide. It is still a good item for him because of the initiation power that telekinesis offers you. You can jump in from quite an immense range, lift up somebody like the Slider or the Ursa, and bring him closer towards your team, and most heroes aren't going to expect that. Plus, you've also then got a follow-up stun in terms of the Earthshaker, which is also going to land from absolutely colossal range. In terms of items, we are seeing another Dagon. I'm still not sure what the Robe of Magi is native because he hasn't opted to pick it up. Looks perhaps like he's going for the drums, picking up that barrier, so you already have that up on Rubik, however. Bounty Hunter now going for the, out comes the hook from Rubik, so hold that thought, gonna be in some trouble. Not the ulti, not enough to finish him off though. Bounty Hunter picks up the Luna, now stun on the Ursa, he's gonna get lifted up in the air, brought back down, tries to get away, pops the blade mount, not quite enough. Rubik might not actually be able to get away indeed. Slider should be able to pick him up now, and Charges going on Noob Total, who will drop Slider meanwhile picking up Rubik. 2 for 2 trade. I mean, you lose a support, and Nyx is... I'm not really sure what you classify Nyx as in this game. And he's almost a 7 carry at this point. Orc now jumping in. She has the sheep stick. Doesn't have the ulti though. Earthshaker's there. Doesn't have the ulti or the mana for it either. Could potentially look to use that arcane. Jump in. Lucky Man will go down though to those right. Well, try desperately that will indeed drop. Now Cinder going down as well to a Shuriken. Maycry jumps in and looking for kill on Dolly. Might well manage it. Rot dealing. Like, no, Maycry not quite able to finish him up. Hunting around looking for a kill, I think. But with that blink, Earthshaker will be safe to get away. Pudge still tracked up. But, I mean, he's fairly high on HP. Got a 4-star and look for a kill. TP now coming out from the Rubik. And the steal not going to come out. Rubik does actually blink in, going to throw him back down. Still not going for the steal, in fact, gets his hands on Dismember. Sun now coming out from the Luna. Rubik playing very aggressive, really wants that kill, going to throw out the ulti, but now surrounded by 3. I think going to get caught by the stun, goes down to Lina, right clicks again. And Lina now, I think, going for that 4-star after her Bloodstone and no, it's actually going to be the headdress, so perhaps a pipe. I can certainly understand pipe in this game, although Lina not typically the hero that you would see going for it. Now Deso up on that bounty. That does give his team quite a bit more damage, and that's actually the first time he's upgraded boots this game, so we're also going for phase. And he's got another 900, well, about 200 left if he wants to buy back as well. My apologies. There we go. In terms of buybacks, no, he doesn't actually have enough gold, unfortunately. Indeed, because he has bought up another club. Probably going to be going for that BKB. Speaking of BKB, no, we're not going to be seeing that Slider. Picking up the mask. I mean, I hope this is a helm, because Mask of Madness... I mean, Mask of Madness is a fantastic item in terms of mid-game DPS. It's the most cost-efficient DPS item in the game. The problem is, at this point in the game, you've already picked up your Vanguard, which is a mid-game item. You already picked up your Armor, which is a mid-game item. Certainly a good mid-game item, but still a mid-game item nonetheless. It's not as slot-efficient as other items. To pick up a Mask of Madness now is... I mean, you really want to be looking for a bigger item at this point. Probably the BKB. Again, especially against Radiant's team. And after that, perhaps the crit, perhaps the Assault Cuirass, but something that you won't then have to sell a little bit later. Because at 35 minutes in, it's well and truly past that point of mid-game minus. Now, both teams tracking each other up. Let's have a look at Ruby. He has got his hands on that Dragon Slave. And everybody now grouping up mid. Pudge getting a hook may well decide this fight. If he opens the fight with a hook, now the dust is going to get used. Not going to find anyone though. But if Pudge opens the fight with a good hook, then his team should be able to win. As I said, Daya is a lot in. Jumps the Queen of Pain though, looking for a kill. It doesn't pop the ulti. She might well opt to use now. Beautiful stun catching 3 ulti catches 2. In comes the Pudge. In comes Earthshaker though with an Echo Slam. Mr. Wagner going to go down. Lucky Man trying to do what he can. Going to back away though. Pudge does pick up that Queen of Pain. Lucky Man going head on with White Lego. Stun flies, misses as well. Lucky Man goes down. May Cry, the sole survivor, goes for the ulti, but going to drop anyway. 2 for 5 trade. Beautiful ultis from both that Queen of Pain and that Earthshaker. Nice stun by that Nyx.
Dire's structures are fortified.
And in the end, it seemed that what happened was, up until this point, we've quite often been seeing Radiant get picked apart. But it was, that happened to Dire instead.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
It doesn't actually look like they're going to look to push this far. I would like to see them push into this mid tower. They can probably take it down as well during that time. You did have the bounty interrupt. You did have the Nyx up. And he has indeed go for the drums, in fact. And so with 2 drums, you would easily have pushed into it, I believe. Instead, just going to go back to farming. Speaking of farming, Queen of Pain picked up a no club, picked up a star. Probably going to be looking for the Aghanims next. Earthshaker, likewise, almost on his Ags. Nyx still going for that Dagon, about to get level 4 as well from here. And it is indeed going to be that Mask of Madness on Slardar, which I really don't like for a couple of reasons. First of all, now at this point, coming to fight, you're going to be taking an immense amount of damage from that Queen of Pain, from that Earthshaker. If you get caught out without you don't have BKB to weather that AoE damage, so you will almost certainly get caught by it, and that will drop you in a heartbeat. And plus, as I said, it's now reaching a point in the game where mid-game items aren't quite as good, because with that, he spent 1800 gold, which could have been going towards a BKB, which would have given a lot more survivability in that last fight. He could have been building towards something like the Assault Cuirass, which is going to benefit his team's armor, also benefit his team's DPS. I mean, you consider you have got the Ursa there as well. Also the Alina, who can potentially transition into a semi-carry, although she is going for the mech. I assume that would be a pipe because it is a little late for the mech at this point. Speaking of DPS, Enchantress picked up the Aghanims a while back, I believe, and probably be going for maybe this Skadi. I do remember back in Dota 1, that was the preferred build in her. Ouch might actually be in some trouble getting it hooked away though, and that will allow her to actually blink, so I think a very, very angry team yelling at Pudge now. And she's trying to get away, will manage to blink over the trees. That should get her enough distance. Enchantress still hunting for a kill, but not going to find it. And now the entirety of Radiant coming in, it would appear. 2 inventories they've found Lucky Man, not going to go in. Stun does fly on Lucky Man, who's quite low, but now going to get ripped apart by that Ursa, who's going to turn around, look for Dolly as well. Stun from Root tries to buy some time, not going to be quite enough though to save the Earthshaker. While Lego does go down. Queen of Pain drops as well. That was her ulti used, and that's 2 survivors now. 4 absolutely free from the Dire. See, I thought that could potentially, if they were able to pick up the starter, that could potentially have worked in their favor. But the problem is that they didn't count. The Ursa just tearing that Nyx apart. Now 2 gems up on that Ursa as well. Dynamic on the DC once again. And Dire tried to get as much damage as they can in on this tower, but not quite able to do it because the creeps are well away from them. That tower is pretty low as well, not quite on 9 HP. And indeed, the creeps are going to drop anyway. So we are going to see the lanes starting to shift back towards that Radiant side, but still, it will still take far too long for the Dire to really capitalize off that last fight and go for that bot tower. And they also just lost that tower top. Go Roshu, says the Pudge. And that's probably the best choice at this point. I mean, they have to wait for the creep wave to catch up. So when they go for that bot tower, likewise top, and top's very far pushed, and even mid, not really in their favour. So instead I think they'd be better off clearing this lane mid, which will allow it to push back that wave, and then while that's happening, take on that Roshan. And safe knowledge that your tower, that your mid T2 isn't going to go down thanks to creeps. You've got the Ursa there as well. I mean, and you've got that Enchantress. If she tags Roshan, Roshan attacks about once every 15 seconds. It's something ridiculous. And with a Slaughter there as well, Roshan will drop very, very, very quickly. You've got 3 down in the enemy team. You've had the Queen of Pain ulti used as well. And if you're fighting in the Rosh, an Earthshaker ulti will certainly still do a decent chunk of damage. But without the Queen of Pain ulti there, without creeps around there, it won't be enough alone to win you a fight. Ursa Gemmai. This is the Pudge. Pudge has picked up an Ogre Club for himself, suggesting perhaps the Aghanims. Not 100%. I mean, there's not much else you would get on a Pudge that builds out of the Ogre Club. Potentially the Halberd, but there isn't a hero, a big hero on that team that really needs to be locked down. Potentially the BKB. Pudge needs to go BKB simply because he's not that prone to being locked down. Plus, magic damage is a massive issue for him. Head on with that. Rosh should be able to take it down very easily indeed. And we'll see that drop quite quickly. There we go. And so with that, now that no Queen of Pain's ulti is down, and still for another 50 seconds, she hasn't gotten her Aghanims up yet. With that, you are going to be looking to push, I believe. Probably just go straight for that T3. Does look like they're going to go top, though, just clearing out that creep wave. With the creeps like that now, they are going to push back towards the enemy bot, enemy top T2. Does look like Maycry is hunting for a kill in that mid lane. I'm going to force himself up. Not 100% sure why going for the hook on Ursa. Perhaps just giving up. I'm not sure. He might actually find a kill on the Queen of Pain, although it is Queen of Pain. She can blink away quite easily if she's caught. And I'm not sure if Pudge is actually visible there. Noob total. Not actually, no, we do have the gem. Hook going to fly, Lift going to interrupt them, and Manu Turner very much in trouble. Now the Fisher got to land on Maycry. Does have force up to get away if he wants. Still coming out from the Rubik. He gets Hook as well. Maycry had a lot of problems, and down he goes. Drops the gem.
Your own damn fault.
I mean, Lita was going to go down there regardless, and it was a bit unfortunate for Pudge. Because he wasn't able to save Lena, although she didn't have TP, so there wasn't much his hook could have done anyway. She just would have been stuck up there, and Queen of Pain would have jumped up and finished her. Pudge, however, could have force-staffed himself out there, I feel. Well, the problem is he basically couldn't well, because he was up on a cliff, he decided to remain on the cliff. There was nowhere to run for him, and it actually took quite a long time. Now, going to actually jump in on Cinder, sheeps her up. She's on about half HP after that impetus barrage. Now Cinder might be in trouble, though Ursa comes in as well. The stun is there, but they got enough to finish up Enchantress. Mr. One now stunning himself on that Spike Carapace as Lucky Man hunting around looking for a kill gets tracked up. 2-4. So 2 down and still nobody dead on Radiant. We did have the ulti used in that last fight near that cliff. And I don't think that Radiant will be looking to push without 2 ultis up. Hook does fly on Manuado, Lift and Fisher, and will go down to creeps of all things. Pudge looking for a kill. It does look like he's going for the BKB. He has his Mithril Hammer up. But, I mean, with 2 down, and most of your AoE presence as well, I think he will struggle to defend at this point. Although Queen of Pain not there. Hook does fly from the Rubik. Pudge has used his as well, hunting around in those trees, and down goes that tower. Noob Toto now looking for a kill, throws out the stun, going to miss Mr. Lorna. Rosh reclaimed in about 3 minutes. Hook gonna land on Noob Toto in a lot of trouble, although hooked back out by levels. Nice play by him, and Make right now caught in the trees, tracked up as well, gonna get lifted, and that will break the trees, but not quite enough, and Maker going to try to force himself out. BKB now popped by the bounty hunter, still looking for a kill. Dolly is there. Maker might actually get away. No, going to drop with that massive right-click damage from Nada. Mr. One, a lot of trouble. That will pop the Aegis. Lucky man that looking for Quinnipiac while picking up a kill on Enchantress. And Rubik able to blink away from the Slaughter. Bounty hunter lurking around. I don't believe we have detection in the area. Indeed, Pudge dropped his gem. Might have one up on Ursa. We do. But not close enough to Bounty Hunter to pick him up. Rubik Mimo, apologies for missing that entirely, has picked up an Aghanim. And now he's basically like Invoker with a 5-second cooldown. Still, he's going to be still throwing things out left, right, and center. Lifts Lena up. They have the hook there as well if she tries to get away. Not actually going to commit suicide with that Bloodstone. Down to 1 charge though, so really not paying for itself here. And as I said, I don't really like the Bloodstone on Lena. She's not a hero who's really challenged for constant mana. She throws out 3 big skills, then she throws them out 2 again in about 10 seconds. She's not something like a Timbersaw who is constantly needing to spam, needs this massive mana pool to do so. So I would have preferred if she wanted to be that late game hero, which, I mean, at 45 minutes in, she might as well be. I think the BKB going into something like the MKB or Crystallis would have been a preferable item. Actually make her quite scary in terms of damage, because Fiery Soul does allow her to transition very well into a semi-carry position. I think she's probably going to be attacking faster than that Slaughter at the very least. Speaking of Slaughter, no progression since Mask of Madness. Again, I would like to be seeing that BKB up on him. Everybody's setting the game's fun. Quinnipiac now picking up her Aghanims as I speak. Now down to a 45-second cooldown, I believe 40 in fact. So that's just going to allow her team to just apply constant pressure. Earthshaker has picked up his Aghanims as well, bringing into Oblivion, so we're going to be seeing that refresher for Earthshaker. And so now with these items up, the game might well start to swing. And now Pudge going for the ulti. I think just to get some farm. Why not? There's a 30-second cooldown. Does look like Noob Turtle's hanging around. Now, we did have a gem up on Ursa before. It is still there as well. So, Nyx does have to be careful about roaming in, although he might well catch out Lena. Bounty Hunter going in. Will have to be careful. Hook does fly. I think he was spotted there by the gem. They go invisible. And I believe, because the thing is, while Ursa was in that spell camp, he had no idea, Bounty had no idea where Ursa was, but True Sight goes over trees, so he was very much in risk of accidentally getting caught out by a hero he couldn't even see, the gem catching him, and then having a Lena follow up with a stun, or Pudge go in with the ulti. Ulti now popped on that Nyx. I think just at this point, because he is well above level 16, just spamming it out. Looking for a kill. Might well find one on the Pudge as well. He's about to run into that Rubik. Rubik is going to lift him up. Not going to go for the steal quite yet though. Blink not there on level. Noob Turtle goes in with the Vendetta. Steal from Rubik. He has the ulti and going to finish up the Pudge. Urshaker actually getting there with the Fisher. With Pudge down, they have to be looking to push. They have all their ultis up bar Rubik's. Well, in fact, they do have Rubik's up as well. I'm not sure if they're going to be using Vendetta like a big ulti skill. It does potentially allow you to lock down the Ursa, who I assume is going for the BKB. Slaughter's still not got much around. He has 22k in... Sorry, 2,200 in the bank. But nothing outside of that. Sheep now going to go out on Cinder. Ulti from Orc as well. Levels goes in. Mr. Warner very low, going to drop to the Rubik round. Going to drop in turn. Lena. Stun flies from Slaughter. Not going to land though. And now Slaughter going in on Noob Total. Trying to do what he can. About a second away from the stun going to be used. BKB popped by Mr. Lego. Going to finish up Termo. I would imagine, no, Termo actually getting away with a smidgen of HP. Track going to get used. Still going in very aggressive, but now in a lot of trouble. And indeed, Impetus finishes him up. Nyx does get away, able to pick up the Slaughter. Earthshaker Didn't lose much of anything there. Still got his ulti up. Didn't lose his life either. So I think just going to look to keep these creeps pushed up against the enemy. They do want to keep pushing them. Bot will have to have somebody going to retaliate. No total on the way there already.
Dire's structures are fortified.
What if I actually popped to save that T3? Looks like, and Pudge is looking for a kill. We do have the blink up on Ursa, so if Pudge 4-staffs in, even if he goes for the blink, and Pudge already has already used 4-staff anyway, but Earthshaker would be able to blink away in time anyway. 4-staff not getting picked up on Rubik, so mobility is central. This used to be the preferred build on Rubik. Quite often now he's just played as that ward bitch hero. Doesn't get these items, but once he does, he's colossal fun to play. Because you're blinking everywhere, you're stealing all the skills, and especially with the Aghanims change as well. He can get his hands on Slatter's stun, then change that into a Lena stun, then change it back into a Slatter stun if he wants. And be zip-zop zapping around the map. Now, I believe this means Rosh has respawned. As I said, I haven't cast the game in 6.79 before, so I'm not 100% sure how the timer works now. I believe that means that the time for Rosh to respawn has passed. Now it's down to chance. Orc actually get caught out going up against the Ursa and will drop. Does she have buyback? No, she does not. Apologies. In fact, nobody has buyback, so if anybody goes down here, that could be quite crucial. In comes the Nyx. Go for the stun. Massive miss. Fisher going to buy some time for Earthshaker's team. Bounty on the pump speaker, but wants to go in, but he can't go head to head with Nursa because, well, it's Nursa. Now in jumps Earthshaker, gets one ulti up, doesn't have refresh. And ulti from Luna, but she will jump. Cinder now surrounded by 4, going to go down. Slutty, the only survivor, all by himself.
That was no shock.
Nice ulti by Earthshaker, did a lot of damage. I don't think Dire were expecting that. And that did allow Bounty Hunter to then get some space and finish up the enemies, because at the start of that it looked like he was well and truly dead. He was going toe to toe with Nursa. That's just something that's a bounty hunter. Well, there's not really any hero who can go toe to toe with Nursa, but bounty hunter in particular would have dropped very sharply indeed. Creeps now pushing top very hard, and bot really. So once they get that rush, I think they're gonna have to TP, especially top to defend, stop that T2 from going down. Probably will have to be denied at this point. There's so many range creeps there. Still working away on that road. There's a very slow rush, in fact. Although now it does look like with Bounty Hunter there, with the letting rate looking down indeed. Bounty Hunter picks it up.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
So I assume they're going to be going top to stop this push. Doesn't look like it at the moment though. Ruby is but all the heroes are now up for the Dire side, and so they're going to have to wait for Earthshaker to get his ulti up once again, about 18 seconds away from that. But with that, in fact, just go wait for the refresher. I'd imagine the difference between pushing with that refresher and with refresher is going to be absolutely massive. Diving up that tower bot. Sorry, top. But once you get the ulti up and once you get the refresher, I believe he's still about 100 gold. Just to have a look at the recipe cost. Indeed, 1875. So about 125 gold away at this point. One more creep cam ought to do it. And from there, his team can just look to push. They've got the Queen of Pain ulti up. Rubik has his hands on Dismember. They might potentially want to look for a pick, but they have the Aegis up on Bounty Hunter. The time is really now in terms of when you want to push. Sheep is going to get brought up on the Nyx as well. Apologies. Have another look at the Earthshaker. About 60 gold away now. Doing what? And indeed, there we go. Refresher gold is up. Aghanims is bought on the Pudge in the meantime, so he has got quite decent damage for that at this point. But the problem is it doesn't really give you AoE, and the issue in these last few fights haven't really been that they haven't been able to burst the target down fast enough. it's just been that their team's getting overwhelmed by how much AoE Radiance has, especially as we saw when that Earthshaker came in with nagging him. So with a refresher, that's going to be even worse. Rubik will be able to get away thanks to Force Up and Blink. There's just no way a Pudge can catch him. Does look like Noob Turtle wants to be picking up the Pudge, but I really would just like to see him barrel down that mid at this point. I'm not sure that there is much Daya can do. BKB about 400 gold away on the side. In jumps Dolly, gonna go for the stun, gets hooked, able to get away outside the ulti range. Queen of Pain caught and will go down thanks to that Lina ulti. Mayberry surrounded by 3 will drop. Cinder and Lucky Man now both coming in, stun about 4 seconds away on the Nyx. BKB now popped by Lego, massive damage, and actually drops the Ursa in fact, but now she will go down. Aegis pop. Fisher going to catch 3, and that's going to block Lucky Man off, perhaps more importantly. Although they're not actually able to follow up on that Fisher, unfortunately. Rubik now coming in, goes for the blink, listens her up, throws her back down. And Noob Turtle, gotta bring it down with that Dagon. Surrounded by 3. I mean, the charges against right click still takes a while to go down. But either way, she was well and truly dead there. Now, with 2 down, buyback forced from Enchantress, and I don't believe we have buyback on Ursa. Indeed, we don't. Now, you did lose the Aegis there, but even so, you should be able to take down this T3 without the Ursa there. Sarah's still about 200 away from BKB. Giving up GG fast finish, he says. What a game indeed. While Lego going in on the Enchantress, going to drop once again thanks to Bounty on the right click this time, not the Dagon. So kill not secured by that Nyx assassin. Nyx does pop the ulti as well. Ursa saying something in a language that I can't understand. He's not going to land on 2. Bounty on the go, blows up that Lina. Now Ursa coming in looking for a kill on Lego. Might indeed find it because he is still an Ursa. Gets sheeped and lifted up in the air, however, and that should be enough to save him. Dolly dropping quite low, double Echo Slam, picks up 2 kills for him. And that's a C3. To be honest, that's game at this point. You're 70 seconds away from that Sada respawn, 60 seconds away from the Ursa. Still no buyback on those heroes. There's not much Dire, if anything, Dire can do at this point. Pudge alone, it cannot save the day, and Kyria going to drop as well. I think going for the strategy seen in the Dota portal, which is to fly your Kyria straight over the enemy and hope that they chase after it instead of going for Rax. Fortunately, in a situation like this, you just lose your Kyria and your Rax anyway. Yeah, I mean, they can probably just go straight for Throne potentially, although they are backing off. Earthshaker doing what he can to push this. Apologies, to push this lane. Now about 9 seconds away from Ursa, so we could potentially still see a defense coming out from that Dire side. It's going to be unlikely given we do have Queen of Pain's ulti up. I don't think that at this point Dire can really come back. It's just a question of how long it takes them to succumb. In terms of gold, now 30,000 in Radiant's favor, XP 30,000. It is, I mean, Radiant are just winning by such a massive margin at this point that I don't see Dire coming back. But, I mean, Bounty Hunter in this game at least has proved me wrong. He's picked up a Divine as well, because why not? In that he has actually been able to carry fairly decently. In terms of sustained fights, I think, I mean, as I said, in that fight in the jungle, he almost certainly would have dropped to the Ursa. But with the space he seems to is able to create in fights, he's more than capable of coming in and cleaning up, or indeed bursting down that Ursa in 2 hits, as we saw a little bit earlier. Slaughter, meanwhile, still not on that BKB. We do finally have BKBs up on Ursa. And as I said before, I do really think that you need BKBs up earlier than this. I don't know the blame I'll pick up. Blink, at the time when I recommended it, I think would have been the opportune item. But at this point, because the game then started to swing back quite heavily in Radiant's favor, I think he should have been going straight. I think the BKB perhaps might have worked as well as that item, but he needed something to allow him to deal damage. And Blade Mail in the end didn't really afford him that. Slardar, as I said multiple times, I'm fine. I don't like the Vanguard generally as an item. It can work on Slardar in some cases though, because he is a very tower diving type hero. That's what Vanguard is best at. Why Lego just blowing up that Lina, going head on with, and Lego actually going to drop to the Ursa. In jumps that Queen of Pain, throws out the ulti, and Urshiga throws out a double ulti, not quite able to finish up the subwell. There he goes, Queen of Pain getting the kill, Makerai going for the ulti, trying to buy one time he can, will drop, and GG is, I mean, game over in all, but Name really just waiting for Radiant to push in, take down that throne.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
In the end, I think it basically came down to, I mean, Radiant had the advantage early on. They sort of started to throw that away because they were getting into fights where I think they just got overconfident. Most of the heroes kind of thought, well, we've been demolishing them so far, I can easily take them 5v1. And that, of course, didn't work. And Dire looked to be starting to come back there. But then I think Dire made the mistake of starting to force himself into 5v5 fights where Earthshaker's ulti, Queen of Pain's ulti, and Rubik and the Assassin's AoE really become an issue. And instead of going for the lane there, push a little bit, going for those BKBs, which allowed them to just turn around, march right through anything Radiant throws at you, and demolish the enemy. But in the end, they weren't quite able to get those BKBs up in time, which allowed Radiant to secure that win. So, my name is 5525, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.